Hey, welcome to the Ozzstar channel. On today's fun project, by the way, I'm Glenn. We're going to discuss brake rotors, and specifically for sports cars, and we'll talk about the C7 Corvette here. Specifically, it deals with carbon ceramic rotors. But first off, I want to say, if you don't recognize me, yeah, I grew a beard out there in Nevada. You know, it's all part of my new fashion look. I got my new D6 Spanky shirt. Check her out here on YouTube. Got to meet her out in Las Vegas. I was out at the SEMA show. That's the Specialty Equipment Market Association. If you're not familiar with that, has to do with everything aftermarket for cars, whether it's tools, bodywork, paint, everything, anything and everything. So that was really cool. Met a lot of great YouTubers out there. I'm going to do a separate video on that in the future here. I also went to Ron Fella's Corvette Racing School for 2 days. That was fantastic. Got to drive a Grand Sport out there. Well, kind of race it out there. That's coming up too. You'll get to see me go around the track, vroom, vroom, vroom. Anyhow, today's video is about brake rotors, carbon, ceramic brake rotors, steel brake rotors on your sports car. It could be a Porsche, it could be anything. Mustang, Corvette, doesn't really matter. We got the Corvette example here today, and Reverse Logic had sent me a set of these. Now, they didn't pay me to do this video, but they gave me this female threaded, they call lug guide tool. So it's right there, there's focus, there you go. And this one here, the size is M12 by 1.5 pitch, and it's 200 millimeters, which is the length, and I'll explain all that in a second. So we're going to go down to the wheel. We're actually going to pull the wheel off, and what this tool does, let me take it out here so you guys can get a better look right now. This is really finely made. It's steel. It's a steel sleeve. It's got a female. So this is going to screw onto the studs. You take off 3 lug nuts, put 3 of these on. I have 3 of these. And what's nice is on the end, it's a hex. This is a 10 millimeter, so you can actually snug them up with a socket. And I'll show you all that in a second. But what this does is basically it allows the wheel to slide away from the rotor. So if you have carbon ceramic rotors, which are very expensive, they're about $1,500 a piece, they're liable to crack or chip if, when you're pulling the wheel off, it happens to hit the edge. It's kind of ugly when it happens, and I did see one at the race school. I didn't film it. I should have, but I just didn't have my camera at the time. So it can happen. It's not a good thing. If you have steel rotors like this car here behind me, by the way, that option for this car was $7,000 when new from GM. If you want to upgrade and go from steel to the carbon ceramics, the Brembos that is, you're looking at about 13 grand. So it's not cheap. If you do a lot of track days, you do a lot of racing, they're great to have. I did get to use them. They stop on a dime and they give you 10 cents change. These only give you about 9 cents. So anyhow, and they don't break fade. So anyway, let's get to the point here. The point is, when you slide the wheel off, even with the steel rotors, if that wheel comes in contact with the rotor, you can damage the wheel. You can chip the paint or scratch it. You know, you're probably not going to crack it. But if you have the carbon ceramic, there's a good chance when that wheel comes off and you hit the rotor, if it pops off the wheel studs, boom, it comes down. It's just going to shatter like glass. That's not good. They're, like I said, they're $1,500 a piece to replace. Now they're kind of neat because you get more brake surface on the ceramic rotor. So let's say it's, I don't know, 15 inches and these are 14 inches on the steel. Well, not only do you get more brake surface, I believe the weight is almost about half. So the carbon ceramic rotor, don't hold me to it, but let's say the fronts are bigger than larger than the rear. They're probably about, let's say, 25 pounds for the steel rotor and about 14 or 16 pounds for the carbon ceramic. So you got that unsprung weight. I mean, it's not just good for stopping, it's good for going. So it is a really cool technology to have on your car if you do have that feature. But anyway, we don't have that here. I'm going to demonstrate this tool for you. So let's get down there and I'll show you the importance of it. So like I mentioned, we're going to start by removing 3 of these lug nuts. Now you should really get a nylon coated socket. This is a 19 millimeter. That'll help, especially with the black wheels, not to scratch the paint. So you just got to be cautious. Just zap out 3 of the lug nuts and then we'll put our extenders on. So it's fairly easy. Just be careful, don't scratch anything. Now I've already got the car jacked up, and I'll put a link in the description down below if you need to know how to jack up your C5 to C6, C7 Corvette safely. you want to use the jack pucks, that's for sure. So anyway, we got 3 of those off now. So I'm just going to grab these. They just thread on. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing all right. It's not that complicated. Just make sure you get them started by hand. You know, you want to get a few threads on there so that you don't strip those studs, or you'll be changing those out or paying somebody to do it. So once you get them started, I get them on there maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 threads, maybe 4. I'll just take my 10mm socket. You know, you can use any 10mm if you got to do it by hand. You don't have to have fancy battery tools. You just kind of thread them down. So this torques down to about 25-30 pounds. So I know it's not too tight. Just for your information, when you go to put these lug nuts back on, they get torqued on this car. It's 100 foot-pounds. So remember that to use your torque wrench. So we've got those 3 on now. So I can take the other 2 out. If you're not familiar, we've got 5 total here. So let's zip those out. And there we go. So first off, we don't have to worry about the wheel falling down on us, but now we don't have to worry about the back of this wheel. Now this wheel is very deep on this car. It's a 12-inch wide wheel, and when you're sliding it off, you really have to come out a distance before you can drop it down, not to hit this rotor back in here. So I'll show you how the tool works. It's just easy. So basically, I can support it with my foot down here at the bottom. I guess you can see it kind of, and I'm just bringing it out, and now we're clear. The back of this wheel is clear of that rotor. So by the time I get to this point, I can drop it down and just pull straight back. I'm safe. So we didn't have to worry about hitting this edge right here. That's where you want to be careful, especially with the carbon ceramics, not to chip it. Obviously with these wheels, you don't want to damage the black paint. It's a Corvette, and you know Corvette owners, they could start crying and carrying on, and you don't want all that in your life. So anyhow, I'm just cleaning up all the crap. See, I'm a Corvette guy too. Here I am, like cleaning the carpet. There's a neat material back here if you're not familiar with it. Inside the fender well, it's almost like a carpet material, and a lot of newer cars have that today, and that's to absorb road noise. It's not like a smooth plastic. Okay, with the wheel off, why don't we weigh this thing? Let's see how much it weighs with the aluminum wheel, and this is the Grand Sport model. So let's see how much this weighs with the tire and get an idea, because it sounds simple just to take those lug nuts off and yank this thing off, but this is not lightweight. This is much heavier than it looks, so let's weigh it. So this is a little bit tricky to film, but I'm going to set the rear wheel up here. It's not light at all. I'm going to just balance it. We'll see what it is. I may have to zoom in. You guys probably can't see it. Okay, it's right there. Let's go in tight. So it's 63 pounds. So what's important to understand is 63 pounds straight out when you're pulling that off is liable to drop down. I mean, it's a lot of weight. Now, if it's up against your chest or it's down by your sides, that's not too bad. But way out there, bringing it off, you've got a good chance of, slapping that rotor. Not a good thing. So let's get to the next step. So it's time to put the wheel back on. I don't think I mentioned earlier that these are actually tapered. So down here they're rounded, so that helps you line things up a little better. So I just like to walk it in and get it close, making sure that back here's my rotor. I'm conscious of that, and I just kind of get closer and closer till I can lift up and get this lined up right here. And there we go. So I'm supporting it. You can see my hand up here. I'm supporting it from tilting back and then just pushing with my right hand forward here and just getting it right into position and just walk it on. We're clear there. So there we go. Take 2 lug nuts and I'll just start these on here and we'll be all set. With those 2 lug nuts tightened up, I'll just put this baby in reverse and we'll zip these out. Easy enough. That comes right on off. And get the 3rd one now. Oops. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, Okay, so with the 3 of those extensions off, I'll put the other 3 lug nuts on. Got all 5. Grab the digital torque wrench, get this button down to 100 foot-pounds, and we can call it a day. I've got the emergency brake on, so I can start torquing these down now. This gear wrench, digital torque wrench, works great for that. And like I said, I got it at 100 pound-feet. So go in a crisscross direction. I start, maybe go 2 or 3/4 of what I got to do here. So right there, that's 87 foot-pounds. You can't see it, but I'll go a little bit at a time. Try to do smooth sweeping. And once that buzzes, I know I'm at 100 foot-pounds or pound-feet. Just double check. Okay, all torqued down. Don't forget the puck under here. Use one of these. Do yourself a favor. All right, well, thanks for stopping by the channel. These 3 little lug extensions here could save you a lot of headache, also save you a lot of expense preventing damage. And if you don't have good upper body strength, or you got a bad back and you can't lift stuff, heavy stuff easily, this will help guide you in, get your wheel in there so you can get your lug nut started. If you've got a German car, a Porsche, Mercedes, a lot of them have lug studs. Instead of this being female, they'll have a male adapter. So they work for all different types of cars. I'll leave Reverse Logic's website down below in the description if you need more info. I think for the C7 Corvettes, these are about $55 to $65, so not bad for what you get. And they are made in the USA. So let me know down below what you prefer to use when you're mounting your wheels on. And other than that, check me out on Instagram. It's Ozzstar with the number 1 after it. Facebook's Ozzstar. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.